You might have heard the saying, drunk mind, sober heart. Is that the truth or is it complete bollocks? Let's have a walk. You know, whenever I hear people talking like this, talking about this, they usually waxing lyrical about some special ability or a capacity for genius thinking that they have when they're drinking, and it's normally an excuse, and they'll reference heavy hitters like Hemingway or Bukowski or Hunter S. Thompson, you know, and I'm talking about heavy hitters in the terms of hitting the bottle. And certainly these people are geniuses, but there is such a thing called outliers. So the basic idea is that alcohol allows us the user to lose their inhibitions, the everyday shackles fall away, the mask falls off, and it allows the real person to come out and shine. Now, the reality is a little bit different when it comes to your inhibitions. All of your inhibitions fall, not just the ones that you choose. And they're not the only thing that takes a tumble. Your intelligence levels and levels of common sense, they also tag along for the ride. The problem is that this is a myth that's widely believed, and I think it especially affects the lads, the men. I think they see it as, you know, part of that macho thing, that being invincible, you know, being able to do anything and drink anything and still function even to the highest level. You know, I've had clients who've told me stories about being compelled to almost get drunk before a business deal could be finalized, especially in places like China and Russia and Japan. Think about this from a personal perspective. Have you ever met somebody, you don't really know them that well, or maybe it's somebody that you just don't like that well, and they've all of a sudden become your best friend now that you've got a load of alcohol in you, and you start oversharing with these people. The one that really sticks into my mind for some reason, and I don't know why, it's a long time ago this happened, I was very young when it happened, but it was when I proposed to a complete stranger. Well, she wasn't a complete stranger. I mean, my brother had introduced me to her and her fiance an hour before. Her fiance. And she was a friend of my brother's, and we sat in this bar. And like I said, I was very young. I was very drunk in my defense. And her fiance, who was a really nice chap, and my brother went to the bar and they left me alone with this girl talking to her. And she was a very attractive looking girl. She looked like Bridget Fonda from when she was in Jackie Brown. And for some unknown reason, I turned around to this woman and said, do you know what, you should really marry me instead of him, or words to that effect. And I can't remember much else about it, but I do remember her reaction, her face, her complete and utter disbelief at what I had just said to her, you know. And it wasn't like, you know, like she was completely shocked, but it was just, where did that come from? I don't even know you, that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, it was a look that kept me awake that night when I went home, even though I was drunk. Like I said, I don't remember much else about what happened, but it's something that has stayed with me for 30 years. Can you believe that? You know, we all look at ourselves from a certain way, right? We all have a certain set of values that we have. We all have a certain set of principles or standards that we tend to stick to, or, you know, we try and stick to. All of that stuff goes out of the window when alcohol is dumbifying your brain. And since I've stopped drinking alcohol, I've watched the same shit show happening on countless occasions with family and friends and people that I really care about. And I don't want to see that anymore, you know. That's why I always leave these occasions or try to leave if I can. You know, obviously if you're at a wedding, you can't leave. But if I'm at a place that I can leave, I always try and go, because I don't want to see my family in that light. I don't want to see them doing these kind of things. I don't want them looking at me the next day thinking, what did you see that I did? You know, I allow them to get on with their shenanigans. I go home, I go to bed, I get up early the next morning, I go on with my day, the things that I want to do, you know. And I understand where they're coming from. That's the point. You know, for me, when I was with other people and drinking a lot of alcohol, it was like I was in a car with wonky steering, hardly any brakes, and the accelerator was pinned to the floor, and I just didn't know which ditch I was going to land in. It's why I always preferred either to drink on my own or to be with a group of friends. And the friends that I was with, and you'll find this in a lot of different circles, people especially who are drinking, they're with what I call the enablers. And these are people who they have a perfect system for it, and it's called the round, right? So everyone buys a drink and it goes around and around and around. And what that does is it ensures that everyone's drinking the same amount of alcohol. Everyone's getting drunk more or less to the same degree. And if there's anything embarrassing going on, everyone's in that same state. So nobody's really going to highlight it the next day. So you get to a point where you know that there is a possibility that you can become a loose cannon when you're drinking alcohol, right? Even with all the different experiences that you've had, everything that you've done, all those little experiences that are in your head locked in some cupboard somewhere, you understand this, that on a very visceral level, that you can become this loose cannon. So what you do is you try and take precautions. And it's a bit like when you have a toddler, right, and you put up that safety gate to stop them from falling down the stairs, or you put those little things into the plug holes so that little wet fingers can't get stuck in there. But once you've had a drink, something in the brain sometimes escapes all those little child locks and all hell breaks loose. You know, the embarrassing idiot manages to break free, and the next morning you've got much more than a hangover to worry about. What did you say? What did you do? Who did you text? What have you got to be embarrassed about? Is there anything that you've done the night before that you should feel guilty about or ashamed about? The inhibitions are there for a reason. So often it's only once you stop drinking alcohol that you realize how much you were getting in your own way. Right? That you were pooping on your own doorstep, that you were smashing your own windows, wrecking your own furniture. You know, you were doing these things in a metaphorical way, but you were basically putting barriers in front of yourself. So a drunk mind, a sober heart, truth or complete bollocks, utter and complete bollocks. Watch this next if you've made a complete fool of yourself drinking.